Hey everybody, this is Miles Witt Boyer. I'm a wedding photographer out of Bentonville, Arkansas, and you are listening to the Workflows podcast.
I'm really excited about this, Miles. We were just hanging out in New York City, and it was a blast. Okay. Now, this episode is airing way after our New York City meetup, but let's quickly talk about what just happened. We were at BILD, which was B&H's Expo they put on in New York City at the Javits Center, and it was massive. Yeah,
it was huge. It was huge, dude. I had so much fun with you guys. Yeah, like, I love that we're just jumping straight into this because that is exactly what we did in New York, right?
Yeah.
Like we just threw ourselves headfirst into what was the number? 60,000 photographers, right?
60,000 signed up. We still don't know the number of how many actually attended, but based on my experience from other events, my guesstimate is day one had 10,000 plus people. Day two was a little slower, but like consistent as far as traffic goes. But that was a wave, a tidal wave of an event.
Yeah, I feel like I met at least 60,000 people in those days.
Yeah. And you remember everybody's name.
Dude, Scott, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. I don't know if you caught that from me or not, but I am just a little bit. You can't even make this up. Literally, on my way out the door, my wife was like, don't come home with COVID or the flu or something, right? Yeah. And then I walk into the Javits Center and I'm like, oh, this is it right here. Like, this is a super spreader event. Yeah. And dude, the number of fist bumps and high fives and handshakes. It doesn't help that you guys put my freaking face on the banner. So people that didn't even know who I was were like, hey, aren't you that? And I'm like, yes, that is me. But man, so much fun.
And it's even funnier when you stand next to the banner.
I did that on purpose. I figured if there was going to be a photo of me anyway, I might as well stand next to it. Man, such a blast though with you guys. And like, truth be told, I mean, I've done some pretty large events, and so I felt like I knew what I was walking into there, but it was really unique for me to see the way that BILD has adjusted the demographic of who shows up to those events. I mean, it was a very young, kind of influencer-heavy crowd, and the sheer number of bad TikTok dances that I watched happen over the course of those few days was pretty embarrassing, but like, because B&H does such a good job of like pulling the right crowd in, man, I felt like our booth, can I say your booth?
Yeah, you can say our booth.
I feel like it's us.
You were there.
I feel like
you were
our
hanging.
Booth was buzzing, man. Like really there were times where there was like 10, 12 people deep just waiting to try and hear what was happening. And the coolest thing was we were literally only giving away stickers and free edits.
Yeah.
I was like, we're sucking people off the huge booths right now so they can get a free sticker and some edits.
So before BILD, we did something really special. We hosted a photo walk that you led, and your main man, Jared, was recording some video content for the photo walk, and we had a variety of friends and community members join the photo walk and learn from you, photograph their own photos of your couple. But the best part, not just watching you work, which is just inspiring in itself. But the best part is that you were photographing a legit couple whose wedding you were photographing. Or did the wedding happen since then?
No, it happens in late August.
Okay. So it wasn't like we just hired models, right? Mm-hmm. They were legit in love, getting married, about to spend the rest of their lives together, but also very creative people in their own right? They're both architects, and one of which is also a photographer at the firm that she works at. Correct?
Yeah. Man, you got the story down, Scott. Like you caught it all.
It was just, I feel like if you were to rate from 1 to 10 how a photo walk could go, because a lot of stuff can go wrong, right? Because you're in the middle of a New York City high congested traffic area,
9 million
touristy areas. A lot could go wrong. This went to 11, right? It went really well from start to finish.
It did.
So Yeah. And there was only one cop in, interaction that occurred.
You would call her a cop. I'm going to say that was like a mall cop situation. And we should probably explain what happened there. Okay. Well, so let me back up enough though, Scott, to tell you. So yeah, Hannah and Stone, my couple, the call that happened to them was so cool. So you guys kind of pitched me on this idea of like, let's do a photo walk, but the vision here wasn't what I've done in the past. I've done a lot of photo walks in the past, right? Which is like, let's just have, 50, 100 random people show up and try and take photos of your couple while you're shooting them. There's nothing inherently wrong with those other than the fact that you sort of commoditize the education, because by the time the people out on the wings take the same exhausted but probably bad photo as the people in the middle, people just start fighting for position. They're not learning anything. They're not listening to anything. Yep. And so the reality is, like anybody of us that hold cameras know that at any given moment, like there might be 2 or 3 good angles on a moment, but there is not 30. Like that doesn't exist. And that the reason you often hear a photographer do a photo walk is to hear their perspective. And once you dilute that perspective, then you might as well not even be there. And so this idea was so cool. It was, hey, let's invite some friends and some community members and some people in, but like, let's do this for the video perspective so that people that can't be there can get your perspective. Yeah. And man, I am not great. I mean, sitting here with a mic in my face, I feel pretty confident. But in walking around Manhattan with a mic taped to my chest, thanks a lot, Jared.
For like 2 hours.
I was nervous. But then the follow-up there was, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to have time to scout it and do it how I would actually do a shoot. Like I would never just roll into Manhattan and say, let's wing it. I would never do that. So I had the opportunity with Noella earlier to go out and kind of wander and scout and just sort of get a game plan, 4 locations that I was like, as long as we can hit these 4 in order, I can create a momentum throughout them. So that's great. But then the key, the secret here was, like you mentioned, let's bring in a couple that truly understands my process because they're going through it right now.
Yep.
And that was really cool. And how cool is it that they flew from Kansas City to Manhattan just for a 2-hour photo shoot with me? Yeah. Like how cool is that?
So it was truly a special. There are photo walks and then there are photo walks, and this was definitely a special photo walk.
Okay, so then all fronts. The mall cop though, that was so ridiculous. All I did, listeners, guys. If you follow along with me much, you'll see me climb on a bunch of stuff. I just climb things. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little bored and I'm like, I don't know, maybe if I was up there, I'd like the shot better. But this was an actual intentional composition. I just needed to be
If you were 7 feet tall, you wouldn't have had to climb.
Well,
you're almost there, but.
Yeah. You should have just climbed on my shoulders. So all I did was climb on a handrail. And to be fair, y'all, I did not climb on a handrail like where had I fallen, I would have fallen 3 feet. Like this wasn't a dangerous scenario, but we had a Highline security guard stop me. Hey, by the way, sidebar here, Scott, did you see the next day, Taylor Jackson posted a photo of Jason Vincent up hugging that giant pigeon?
Oh, and really?
The same security guard kicked him off of the booth.
Really?
Yeah, he was hugging that sculpture. That's the most Jason Vincent thing I can say.
It totally is. I mean, or riding it, getting on its back.
Yeah, that either one of those would be possible. So, but yeah, Taylor posted a thing about how he got in trouble as well. So, at least I wasn't the only juvenile delinquent in the moment.
She probably has to say something to like 5 to 10 people a day is my guess.
Her
just
quota.
Probably her job is to just.
Do you remember what she said though? Because I remember it verbatim.
I think she said that it can't handle the human weight or something like that. Like it can't handle.
That is not intended to hold a human for very long. Oh, like you couldn't have made that more awkward. You just handcuff me, take me to jail because I'm going to laugh in your face at this moment. Like for very long. And I'm also kind of a skinny guy. So if it can hold a regular human for, surely I can last just a few more seconds.
Yeah. And the fun part, though, at the end of the day, you got up high to get a certain shot, waiting for taxis to drive underneath where we were, and you got it. The taxis came.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, it was worth being scolded by a Highline cop.
It is always worth being scolded by the Highline cop.
Yeah.
Man, it was just great. The whole experience in New York was really special. It was the first time I've had the chance to really meet and hang out with all of you guys. And I mentioned, I've done a lot of these events over the years with a lot of different sponsors and different teams and different purposes, but I have never before felt myself integrate into like a team culture as quickly. I feel like I have been hanging out with you guys for years.
Yeah.
And so much of that was due to like you and Noella and Guy, but then all the other ambassadors as well. Like everybody else that was there that just took the opportunity to sort of like pull us in and say like, hey, sit here and shut up. And we did. It was really special to get to hear everything. That dinner with you guys at Tony's. That was one of the high points. I've had a lot of high points in my career, but that was a pretty special point for me. So
it was a good dinner. It was very loud.
Very loud. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was.
I felt like I was just really yelling at Scott for not you, other Scott, for like an hour. We were trying to, and Ace, who by the way, coolest guy.
Yeah. Really nice guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, all right, man. So what do we have? What do we have on deck? What are we going to give? What are we going to give the people today, Scott?
Yeah. So first, I want to talk about. We're going to talk one or two things that are going well in your workflow. Again, like these are. We like to talk about workflows from behind the camera to delivery, right? Not just editing, not just culling, not just retouching, right? We want to cover all aspects on this podcast. So. Let's talk about the first thing that has been going well in your workflow that you'd love to share, a little bit of the details with our listeners.
Yeah, cool. Okay, first things first. It actually kind of makes sense, I guess, to start towards the beginning. So let's start with the pre-pro work.
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 years now, something like that. It's 2025. Yeah, kind of tail end of all the pandemic junk. Jared and I kind of had an opportunity to look at our demographic, our base, our clientele, but also our area. And we travel a lot. And so like, where are we getting brought into and who is it that's hiring us? And how are we serving them well? And then follow up to that is like, how are we dropping balls that are worth a lot of money? And one of the things that we came down to, actually, this will follow up. This is cool. This will follow up into the second thing that I think is going well. But one of the things that we came down to was the fact that we were still being very reactive in our business in general. What I mean by that, right, is like, okay, so a couple hires me to shoot their wedding in New Jersey or something. And of course, like any photographer, I look up the venue website, kind of acclimate myself just a little bit and help them build a schedule that's pretty much plug and play to every other wedding I've shot. And then spend a little bit of time hyping them up and making them feel like I'm their best friend. And then we kind of shoot the wedding and we get paid for it and it is what it is. But what I realized, Scott, is that if everybody's doing that, that isn't the standard, that's the bare minimum. Like that's the minimum level of effort that is expected. And if we want to give our clientele a level of service that is much higher than what's expected, and then by doing that want to be able to charge considerably more than what is average, that has to start early. And so we've kind of reimagined our entire pre-production concept to spending a lot longer researching and planning, helping design these days, allowing our clients to have a ton of access to different resources that we've built out for them on explaining different ways that we build the schedules and asking for their trust, but really kind of earning that trust throughout the process. And so I would say in general, we probably went from, I don't know, maybe even including a consultation outside of like an engagement shoot or something like that, but maybe 3 or 4 hours of total pre-production time for like the first 12 years of my career to now in the realm of like 20 plus hours of total pre-production time. Just connecting with the vendors ahead of time, making sure that we understand what they're excited about, getting a feel for, like, is the wedding planner planning something different from this wedding than she's done before? And how is it that we can build time in the schedule to document that just for her? So all of those things are going very well. We've been able to skyrocket our prices because of that.
So regarding like the vendor, so instead of just you doing the research and knowing based on like other people's photos at the venue and if they've ever done like the inside Google Street View type of things of the property or whatever it might be, are you now going as far as like having a call with the planner that's from the venue and what kind of things do you discuss with the vendor that would wind up helping you, but also helping them?
So a lot of this stuff is a posture more than it is actually like a conversation. Instead of trying to convey this as like, if you will just follow these 8 steps, it's more a posture of saying like, we wanted our business to be about a service. The truth of the matter is most of us in this industry are selling a product that doesn't exist yet, right? We're selling a product to a clientele based on a product that we provided to another client, and that's inherent and that's good. That's a healthy thing. But because most of our industry is really sort of ignorant to that as a fact, we tend to sell these products as though they already exist. And instead, what we actually can sell confidently is a service. We know what we can do for people. And so that posture shifts the way that we deal with everybody. So I'll give you an example. I mean, not just the wedding coordinators, but I just spent, right before we jumped on this call, I just spent 2 hours on a call with a new bride who is getting married in Hopetown, the Bahamas. Tiny little island in the Bahamas. It's like multiple ferries to get there. They're reserving 2 complete hotels, 2 different resorts. There's only like 4 resorts on the entire island, and they're reserving 2 of them for their guests. And if you just Google wedding photos in Hopetown in the Bahamas, they're pretty bad. The photos are pretty bad. I don't mean that in like a hateful way. I just mean you're not seeing a lot of really like high level, top notch work being done here. And so in trying to convey to this very high end couple what their work is going to look like, we can't use examples of other people's work. That's just not that's not a great look anyway, but that's just not a reality for this one. But what we can do is send them over sun diagrams from the day of their wedding and say, hey, if we are in these locations at these times, I can promise the light is going to sing. It's going to be great. And here's Google Maps where we can map out routes. Like there's some really cool little architectural areas over here. Here's information on how to get a permit to get up in the lighthouse. And I'll handle it. I'll contact the person. I got all that worked out. All I need from you guys is just to trust me that I'm going to be the photographer that's going to put you guys first.
Yeah.
And then allow me to build your schedule to where we can piecemeal all these dreams together. And so it's just a posture there, like a shift of posture that says everything along the way. So it's the same thing then for the wedding planners is us saying like, hey, we know that you have to do this maybe 10 times a year, 15 times a year, 25 times a year. What is it that you wish that you had more of? Like, how can we make you look like the hero here?
Yeah.
And there's always a positive response to that. And the response is always really beneficial when we follow through. When it's like, hey, we know that you love, like we hear this often, the wedding planners will say back, we know that you love sunset photos, you love golden hour photos, but we work so hard on the room build. Like, can you make sure that there's time set aside for pristine photos of all the decor, like wide, mid, tight shots of all the setup? Absolutely. Yes, we can absolutely do that, right? Can you make sure that we get great shots of the invitation suite? Yes, absolutely. Even we can go further than that. Instead of asking the photographer who has no actual design skill whatsoever, because I hold a camera, to do the flat lay, why don't you, the wedding planner, build me the flat lay in a way that you feel like is beautiful, that you're proud of, that's on brand for you and the client? This is a cool opportunity for you to do this. And I can not only take photos of you doing it, but then I can take photos of your work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good way to deliver for your couples, but also deliver for the venues and vendors that you're working with, by being able to give them what they actually need, not just want, but they actually need to book more of those weddings. It could even be something as simple as, talking about an island, right? So, we've got this new location on our property, and it's on a cliff, and we don't have any good photos. Do you think you could do a drone photo? Oh, Jared, bring your drone, buddy.
Absolutely.
And now you got an epic shot of a brand new location that they don't have anything of for them. That's going above and beyond.
I mean, I think our photo industry in general, because a lot of us kind of walk around with a weird chip on our shoulder, and I don't really know exactly where that comes from, but I see it. I mean, walking through a room with 60,000 photographers, a third of them, for some reason, have this very kind of like isolated sort of like energy to them, right? Where they're like, I already have everything worked out. I've already got it dialed out. I'm like, then why are you here? If you already know everything, then what is it that you're doing here, right? But because so many of us struggle, with the reality that like we need, or I'll put it this way, I need the planners to do a great job, because when they do a great job, my job gets better, right? I need the florists to be awesome. I don't care a ton about the cake, but sure, the cake is good. I need the dress to fit well. I need the groom to be well styled. And if all of those things are true, and I think most of us can say like that those things are true, they actually elevate our work. Well, then why don't we as the industry take a vested interest in helping those things, right? So I spend a lot of time with our grooms saying like, hey, this is your wedding. This isn't an opportunity. You don't need to like run down to Men's Warehouse and buy something off the rack. Like, let's get you a custom tuxedo that is fit for your body, that where you should look like $1 million today, right? And then we hear back from people all the time, oh, you guys work with the best looking guys. And I'm like, no, we don't. We just help our guys look their best, right? Yeah. And it's the same thing with our brides. Like, send us over your dresses. I'm not gonna veto your dress. I want you to feel beautiful, and you do you. This is your dress. But like, I'm super happy if you're torn between a few dresses. I'm super happy to tell you, well, that one is going to have great movement. It's going to allow us to like have all kinds of different playful compositions and fun. And then that one is going to wrinkle very easily, and it's going to fall all day, and you're going to fight it all day, I mean, after 600 weddings, if I can't help pre-produce these events, who can? So that's what I would say is the first thing that's going very well. And I think this is like brass tacks for most photographers, but the way that I can see that going well is not just that our clients are loving their work. Again, that's the bare minimum, right? Yeah. But it's the fact that our clients are coming back week after week after week saying, we spent more than we had budgeted on you, and we got infinitely more than what we bought. And I'm like, okay, so you blew the budget on me, and you still feel like you got a value. That means that we're in the right wheelhouse, Yep, 100%. Yeah.
So undersell, over deliver, and even underselling but still doing well for yourself. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you teased a little bit about the second thing that's been going well, and let's dig into that a little bit. What is the second thing going well? How did it impact? Because obviously, this other thing that you're going to be bringing up actually makes it so that you have more room for the previous thing you just talked about.
Oh man, and room is the key, right?
Yep.
Okay, so imagine you guys have created a product here, and this isn't a sales pitch, y'all. Listen, hear me out on this. Number one, I'm not getting paid to be on this podcast. So if and full disclosure, Imagine is so cool. I genuinely feel like they would allow me to get on the mic right now and say how I feel, regardless of whether or not it was all completely positive. That to me is the reason I'm in this, is because the authenticity, I think, is the reason that we like to talk to brides and grooms about our work, but it's also the reason we like to talk to photographers about our affiliations, because I only work with companies and brands that I really believe in. And so when we made the switch, kicking and screaming, I'll be, man, I almost knocked my blue light over. When I made the switch,
we're twinning over here.
when I made the switch to using AI editing, I did it with the same general mentality I think that most photographers do, which is like, hey, I'm out of time, save me time. And I realized in a hurry that the power of using post-processing like this and AI processing like this, and then our profile that we've built, iconic, that's now on the platform like this, is actually not in being more efficient. It's in saving us time for better work.
Yeah.
So let me break that down. So what we do now is we utilize Imagen in its most complete form. Imagen handles our culling, and they handle all of our color science, and all using that iconic profile. That's a remarkable process. Like, just the fact that exists. I mean, I say this often to people, but like 10 years ago, none of us could even wrap our minds around the fact that was possible, and everybody would have been polarized to it. Every single photographer would have said, like, that is cheating. Yep. But the interesting thing is that 10 years ago, none of us were using Lightroom presets really either. Or if we were, it was like really terrible ones. And now that's considered industry standard, right? Like, it is perfectly okay for you to have a preset that you use as a color science that you either created for yourself or that you bought off somebody or whatever. Like, that's okay. It's perfectly okay. And nobody is polarized to that fact. And so here we are. Now we have the next evolution of that, like kind of a natural evolution of that, is a much smarter, much more intuitive way to apply your color science. And so we walk all the way through that process with Imagen, but then eventually, and here's the greatest part about working with Imagen, eventually those photos end up back in Lightroom. And all of a sudden, they're my problem again. They're no longer Imagen's problem. Now, I know that you guys have created some really cool workflows that allow you to go like direct to pick time. That's awesome, but that's not how we use it.
Right.
So eventually, the work has to be my problem because it's my work. And so now I have, 1,500 files or 2,000 files that are cold and edited and beautiful, and they have our color science applied, but they're sitting back in Lightroom. And now I get to look at it and say, all the time that I had allocated to edit this work is still there. So now how am I going to edit this work? And instead of playing the game that most of the industry has played for years, which is literally just like Control-C, Control-V, Control-C, Control-V, right? Instead of playing the copy-paste game on your work, now I get to look at it and say like, hey, I have time here to get rid of those outlets, those light switches, those stray hairs. I have time to mask things, to bring things forward and clean up skin. And I have time to do that in mass. Instead of it being like the one image that I'm going to put on my Instagram, like I have time to do that. And the way that has played out in its end game, I guess, right now in our work is now I'm able to say to our clients, every photo that you see on our website and every photo that you see on our Instagram were not edited specifically with marketing involved. Those were just final edits. That is how our work is delivered. So when you go to our Instagram, every single shot that's on the Instagram profile is a photo that was delivered to a bride, and all of her other photos look like that too.
Right.
And that to me is like a level of authenticity and like just straightforwardness that only happens now that we have the time to be so refined. So does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah. And a real world example of this, before we hit record, we were talking about the photo walk in New York and all the photos you ran through Imagen, but then you had to do some final edits on them.
A lot of it.
And because it was New York City, you had a problem.
Let's go.
That you had the time now to handle. And again, for listeners, this was not just a photo walk. This was a real couple of Miles, right? So it was like he still had to deliver.
It's important. It's important, and they're not married yet. Like, it's important that these two people see confidence in themselves in this frame. Because they could have walked away from this either what happened, and thank God this happened. They walked away even more excited for their upcoming wedding, but they could have easily walked away and been like, "Oh my gosh, what have we done?"
Right.
You know, like this guy has no idea what he's doing. So yeah, we're in a city with 9 million people, and we're shooting at what time do we meet? 5:30, 5:30, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So anybody that's familiar with New York at all, we are in Tribeca at 5:30 in the middle of the week. You know, like we just threw ourselves into walking rush hour on the High Line, and so the edits that had to happen were, how do we clean up the people? Like there are in one specific photo, actually the one that the mall cop yelled at me about, there's probably, just crossing the crosswalk behind them, I bet there's probably 75 people back there. And now, before you get mad at me and say that could have been so cool, I also included those shots as well. Like there are shots where they feel like they're in the middle of a bustling city, and I'm doing shutter drag, and there's some really cool stuff around it.
It is always fun when your subjects are still and you see movement in the background. So I can see the excitement in that. Yes.
Did you see the shots I did of that with the cabs? We dragged it an eighth of a second and let the cabs go blurry behind them. So cool there. But that wasn't the vision for some of these shots, like them walking down the stairs into the High Line. I just wanted this to feel like this was their city. Yeah. And so the other people, to be quite honest, are in the way of that goal. And because I was able to handle color science quickly and effectively and consistently, I got to spend that extra time going in there and saying, you know, like, how do we, and again, guys, even 2 years ago, we would have had to clone all of that out. It would have been a nightmare. It would have been an absolute nightmare. But now we can, you know, like do a really crappy lasso and AI things like that out, and it's like people just disappear. It's remarkable what is happening in our industry right now is absolutely insane. And and man, I know one thing: if you are not at the forefront of it, if you're not learning it as it comes out. And that's the key to working with Imagen for me, is there is nobody even close to this far out ahead of things. So, but if you're not at the forefront of it, you're not going to like to hear this, guys, but you're getting left behind.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's AI is not what's going to put people out of business. It's people who don't adopt the AI is going to put themselves out of business. That's
Scott, so I worked for a photographer in high school that I can remember when he bought his first digital camera. This dates me for sure. But we shot medium formats, 4x5 film and Hasselblad medium format stuff. And he actually had an 8x10 camera too, which was super cool. But when he bought his first digital camera, I'm sure it was probably like, 1.3 megapixels or something like that. And he dropped probably 10 grand on the thing. I remember the conversation that he had with me where he said, this will never take off. Like this, it won't happen. And there was an entire generation of photographers that just disappeared because they were wrong and they waited too long to adapt. And those of us that went ahead and said, like, okay, 3 megapixels is pretty crappy, but let's try it, we learned it and we understood how it worked. And then we got those DSLRs, and then the mirrorless systems came out, and all of a sudden it wasn't like this massive jump in learning curve. It was like, oh my gosh, hold on. I don't have to now look through the viewfinder anymore. I can actually shoot live, which means I can talk to people more fluently and more easily. I can compose, like more creatively and faster, frankly. Yeah. And those adaptations have happened so easily. And man, if you're not out ahead of it, like, dude, I just feel so bad for the photographers that are still trying to create art. You'll hear me say this on a lot of different interviews, but I'm a huge believer that the best art, which is what we are, you guys, like we have to live in that. We have to call ourselves artists, or this industry is absolutely screwed. But the best art comes from friction. Like, you have to experience pain. You have to deal with things that are frustrating or problems, or too many people walking through the street in New York. Like, you have to deal with that stuff to find art. But you don't have to be a masochist. Like, you don't have to make this hard on yourself just for the sake of doing it. So yeah, man, the post-processing game now has, like, it's completely pivoted the way that we handle, again, all of our work. It's allowed me more time to spend with my clients on the upfront. I know you mentioned Jared a few minutes ago, but he's he's another extension of that, right? So I handle all of the culling, all of the color science, and then the reverse culling, which is a new step in our workflow that didn't used to exist. And then I pass the hard edits off to Jared. And so while I'm prepping the next clients for their events, he's making sure that the last clients have their photos. And we're working side by side like that all the time.
And also because Jared does video, soon enough, Imagen's video app is going to be another layer, right? Because now we're going to have the ability for, at some point, Iconic will be a video profile for Jared to be able to use in all of, your wedding videos, and you'll have that consistency in the brand. It's going to be a beautiful thing for fast turnaround.
It's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of very exciting times. Again, like adopt AI, right? Whether it's Imagen or whether you're just adopting the features that Adobe's adding into Lightroom, into Photoshop, et cetera, for making your edit process faster, it's just like, it's a win-win for everybody involved, right?
Dude, can I tell you can I tell you like a cool thing that I did a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
So I saw this dumb Instagram reel that was talking about how, like, most of us are still using AI like smart Google, right? And then there are fringe humans that are making their billions already on AI. And like, how is it that they're doing that? And that they're understanding some of the capabilities. And so I felt like I needed to know. I was just curious. So, okay, Scott, you got to try this later. So I got in. I have trained ChatGPT pretty well around my brand. Like, it understands my voice, understands my, my vision, where I'm headed, what I want the company to convey, et cetera, et cetera. I still don't let it write copy for me and not re-edit that copy because I feel like I can spot AI copy very well. But what I haven't done is allow it to teach me things. I'm always trying to teach it things. And so I got on a couple of weeks ago and I said, like, okay, now knowing everything that you know about Miles Witt Boyer, what are the 10 must-try AI processes that you would suggest? And it was remarkable, the things that it spit back out to me. And man, I think that we've just got to get smart into understanding that, like, the future of tech is adjusting at like light speed right now.
Yeah.
And if it makes us better humans, like if it allows us to have better relationships and stronger connections and allows us to be more connected to our art, how could that possibly be a negative thing?
Yeah.
So
one of my favorite, related to that, one of my favorite things that not enough people are doing is if you screenshot a landing page that's important to your website, and you throw into Gemini, you throw into ChatGPT, and you ask it as an expert in SEO, et cetera, critique this landing page. What are some improvements you would make for SEO purposes? If you think about it, these LLMs, these language models, right? This AI is designed to give you answers, right? It's a search engine in its own right. In fact, like Gemini is baked into Google at this point.
Yep.
ChatGPT is baked into Bing at this point. Yeah. And iPhones. So it's going to tell you what you need to do to your page specific for its search, right?
Yes.
Listen to its advice. You don't have to do it word for word, right? But listen to its advice. It's going to tell you what it wants you to do to rank better for its AI. So I just love like those like hacks, for lack of a better word, like just ways to use it that not enough people are using it for.
Man, I love these like nerdy talks. Scott, I'm always on, I don't know if you've ever heard, I'm always on podcasts. Everybody always wants to talk to me about my feelings, man. I guess I'm always the guy that's like, hey Miles, let's get deep. Let's get like super meta here. And honestly, every once in a while, it's really nice to just talk nerdy because the cool stuff that's going on here is, I think you can boil it down by simply saying, like, if your goal as a business owner, as a creative, as an artist is to do the minimum, right? Then go ahead and just replicate. Like, go ahead and take out the Squarespace website and throw some photos in a template and grab yourself a PicTime account and deliver your photos with like the suggested rates for things. And like all of these companies now, and that's not a knock actually on either of them. I use Squarespace and I'm a PicTime ambassador. But all of these companies have built processes to help you get started. But I think the thing is that so many of us just move beyond that process and start going to the next process without ever auditing all the ways that we show up. And I've said this in a handful of different trainings, but I'm extremely picky about the way clothes fit, like super picky about the way clothes fit. And so somebody could just hand me a t-shirt and I can put on a t-shirt and I can walk out the door. But the truth of the matter is that's just not at all who I am. I'm going to put on that t-shirt. And if I don't like the way that t-shirt fits, then I'm going to go find another t-shirt. And that's not a vain thing. It's just there's a level of confidence to when I like the way something fits and when I like the way something looks, I feel like I can show up better in the world.
Yep.
And most of us are just throwing on a t-shirt and walking out the door and not realizing like not only are we all wearing the same t-shirt, but we all look like crap. And
Right.
so it's usually just like a little bit of extra effort, just like a slight adjustment in some things, and you'll show up and be really proud of who you are. And probably the coolest, evolution of that for me is then when I look back through, like scroll through Instagram, I'm a big believer in not deleting these people that have 50,000 followers and 11 posts crack me up. I have thousands. I think I have close to 4,000 posts on Instagram. And the reason I do that is because I love to scroll back through and see the evolution of my work. I love to be able to see and say, gosh, I used to suck. But now I'm really proud of my work. And what was happening? What was it that was happening there in that transition in my life where all of a sudden that work starts to look really good? What did I do there? How do I need to lean in on that stuff? And so much of it these days for me, work that I'm really proud of is clients that are really happy to have us there, and then a post-process that is so consistent. So you're never seeing me in a weird emo mood in my editing, Imagine handles my mood swings for me. There's a voice note for you. Save that one.
That is definitely an advantage of AI, is it does not care about your emotion. It's going to do it the same way, excuse me, no matter what is going on in your life at that moment. It will always edit consistently in Cole, consistently, etc.
Yeah.
Miles, we're running low on time, and I want to see if we can briefly touch on the last thing, which is an area in your workflow that you're maybe struggling with, maybe not 100% happy with, but you're working on improving. And if we can briefly talk about that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope this is something that connects with everybody quickly.
Yeah.
It's a constant opportunity, a constant growth thing in my mind to further diversify where my clients are coming from. I think we're so quick in our industry right now to niche down, which I think is really dangerous. That's probably another episode, but I think it's really dangerous to niche too quickly. One, because you end up putting yourself in a corner and your work hasn't even developed. A lot of photographers I see, they're like, well, all we shoot is elopements. I'm like, that's because you've never shot a wedding. But anyway, we get so tight that we end up neglecting a lot of cool opportunity for really great art. But in our marketing, we fall into a line of it's working, so don't break it. And where I struggle, frankly, is in the fact that we always have more work than we need. It has been years since I've felt that tension of man, I wish I had more inquiries. It's been years. And then at the same time, I can look back through my inquiries and be like, wow, they're coming from the same handful of wedding planners, or they're coming from the same venues, or Instagram is a huge client pool for us. And when that happens, I'm immediately hit with the insecurity of well, what if my Instagram got hacked? What if I lost Instagram tomorrow? What would I do in that scenario? Or what if this specific wedding planner decides that she's done, she's tired of it? Or or she builds a relationship with a new photographer that she loves, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But like, what happens if 30% of my client well dries up because I haven't diversified enough? And so that's on my mind a lot. It's an interesting thing to not need more clients, but to want more revenue streams. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons as well that we went ahead and put the iconic profile actually on the store with you guys, is knowing that at this point in my career, I don't just need more and more and more. We've got the income is fine, the money is fine, we're happy as can be, and I'm not. I hope I lead off with this impression. I'm not super greedy with that stuff. Like, I want the industry to win, but I'm keenly aware that at any given moment, a random pandemic can pop up and a third of the industry hemorrhages.
Yep.
And we were very blessed the last time that happened to not be hyper affected, but I want to make sure that we're always out ahead of it the next time.
And it does happen that social, like, there was a moment where TikTok was gone, right? And for some photographers, that's their Instagram, right? That's their social lead driver. And if that happened to Instagram, there's a good chance that's happening to Facebook as well.
Yeah.
And WhatsApp and anything else that's, sort of connected to the meta sphere. So there's a risk. Social media is hard to give it its all, right? As like the only thing. You have to diversify where you're aiming for, or aiming to gather leads from. At the same time, the idea of diversifying the revenue sources is another great advice for a lot of photographers who right now are only focusing on the client. There's many ways where you can make money as a photographer, including doing something as simple as stock photography for certain things, right? Maybe not be the most exciting thing in the world, but there is always a need for stock photography.
It's pretty cool, man. I had a girl that I went to college with that was very early on the iStock photo train, very early. And she has a couple of photos that she's taken over the years. And I'm talking a couple, like less than 10 photos. I think there's a photo of a Bible with like a picture frame behind it that she's made hundreds of thousands of dollars on that photo. I think so many of us, we just sort of follow the exact same flow, right? Like, shoot babies, then shoot seniors, then shoot families, then shoot weddings, and then be an educator. And guys, that's not actually a real successful business model. It truly isn't. And you've seen it work for a handful of people, but those people are actually the exception, not the rule. I think that there's so much more to be said for like serving people well, and then developing your product really well, developing your, what your value is, and then finding ways to get that product into different people's hands. And man, that's just like a cool way to live. And also, it allows us to be artists for as long as possible, which I think is really special. It seems as though I'm kind of in an odd transition in my life where, kicking and screaming a touch, I'm starting to educate more. I've got more conferences, I've got more sponsorships, I've got more things happening. And the one thing that is most on my mind right now is protect the work. Like, allow the value of what I do to only grow. Man, I think that's just great advice, but also I think it's important for all of us to hear photographers that we look up to be real in those moments and say, like, I'm still turning out work. Every shoot, I'm turning out work where I'm sitting back and saying, what was I thinking? Like, what a stupid picture, or how was I influenced by so-and-so's work? Like, why am I so insecure about myself that I'm trying to mimic or copy them? So, dude, you got me in my feels anyway. We did it, no matter what.
I go trying to talk techie and you're getting all feely.
So, but that stuff's cool, Scott. And I mean, I guess as we, I don't know, kind of wrap up or whatever, I think my advice for photographers would be like, try and stitch those three things together. It is working. Please don't emulate us. My gosh. There's so much better examples out there, but like what we basically just said in one episode, actually relatively unintentionally, is like clean up the way you treat people before they shoot you, or before you shoot them, and before they even hire you. Just clean up the way you show up for them, and then clean up the way you produce for them after they hire you, and then invest in new ways for people to find you so that they will hire you. Yeah. And like, come on. And if you can connect all of those things with Imagen, and then maybe buy my iconic profile in the process, that'd be great. That was subtle. I slid that in there.
Yeah. So we're going to link to the iconic profile in the show notes. Of course, Miles, if you can share for those who don't know who you are, I've never seen your work, where can listeners learn more about you, see your iconic photography, and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, cool. Well, so yeah, I am at Miles Witt Boyer on Instagram, 2 T's, no H in Witt. And all of the work that is on there is an example of what was poured into the iconic profile. I think after it's all said and done, we ran, I think, roughly 18,000 photos into the initial build for that. And then since then, gosh, we've got to be pushing another 15,000 through it. And the goal is just like a wild amount of really consistent, really true to life color, things that don't feel too punchy or too bold, but also don't feel too filmic and too trendy. And so, yeah, that's on the profile shop. I'm really excited. The people that are seeing that are giving us some really cool reviews. And that actually leads back to you guys. So if you want to drop me a DM on Instagram at any point, DM me and I'll get you my email address. If you want to send me a couple raw files, I'm super happy to send you over what that would look like on your profile, as well as just answer questions. People DM me perpetually about how we're using Imagen and where we're going to show up next and what the next workshops are that we're doing and all of that stuff. We've got exciting things coming around the corner with that. At any given moment, I'm just waiting for Noella to tell me what my life, let's call it this, to tell me what my life actually looks like. She's like funny. Everybody, all of the ambassadors, fairy godmothers. If I learned anything in New York, it's the fact that I wondered how she did all this for me. And the reality is she does it for all of us. And so
there's a lot of people it
is wild, Scott. So anyway. Yeah, dude. I'm just excited to meet people, and every time we do one of these, if I end up making one new friend out of it, it's totally worth the investment. So,
yeah. Miles, always a pleasure hanging, always a pleasure chatting. Love hearing all the advice and all the nuggets and behind the scenes that you're sharing with all the listeners. I'm sure they're ending this episode with some ideas that they have to be. They have to.
I hope so. Man,
really
Scott, I love it a lot, dude. Thank you for being like I don't use this word lightly, seriously, like for championing this industry. Like you guys, your voice right now is it's critical, and people are leaning on you guys to say it's okay to adapt to new tech. And man, that's a lot of pressure, and you're the public face of it. So, and also, dude, over in the Facebook group, can we just briefly, like, I'll take 30 seconds to, can I brag on how well you manage that? There's like 17,000 people in there or something like that.
Yep.
So that's so cool that there is a place that exists where people can just show up and connect, and we all have this one thing in common. And it doesn't matter if it's, when I say we, like, it doesn't matter if it's myself and John Branch and Thayer and Taylor and Sam Hurd. It doesn't matter if it's those guys or if it's like Joe Schmo in Iowa. Like, we all have the same thing in common. It's really cool. You guys have created a level playing field where all of us can connect and share ideas and advice and tricks, and that's pretty special. So,
and it's not just wedding photographers. We've got people photographing dogs and horses and concerts and newborn. That's the diversity in the Imagen community is something I'm very proud of, and it keeps growing every day, and it's a blast.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. The concert photographers that show up in there blow my mind. I'm so jealous of that. But anyway, so cool, man. Well, thanks for being awesome. The great thing, here's the coolest plug ever. In the last 57 minutes that we've been recording, I have cold and edited an entire wedding.
That's fun.
It's a true story, man. I started it right before we started recording, so I should have screenshot the whole thing. So thanks.
That would have been hilarious if we had if we had a side-by-side of the recording of it.
Yeah. Miles is editing right now. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
cool.
You have been listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast. To hear more from Workflows, to learn more about our guest, and for an exclusive offer for Workflows listeners, please go to workflowspodcast.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.